Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking the Transformers Legacy Core Class Iguanus. So here he is. Before we take him, let's take a look at the packaging. So here we have the new Core Class style packaging. So of course we have a nice shot of the motorcycle mode there up top. That looks really cool, of course, with the cannon on top. Firing, of course, we have Transformers with the Legacy logo here and here. We have a nice, of course, display window for where the figure would be. We have a nice shot of Iguanus here shooting lasers out of his eyes. That looks really cool. And of course in the back he transforms into 15 steps, 2 shots of his modes, and here's the Decepticon Legacy artwork with Megatron, Dragstrip, Iguanus, we got Skywarp, and also Kickback. So overall, really cool packaging for Legacy for this Core Class figure. That's pretty much it, so let's get into this review. We have Transformers Legacy Core Class Iguanus in his robot mode. He looks really cool. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top. The head sculpt looks amazing. I like all the spikes, the big spike on the top of the head, the yellow for the eyes, the teeth. That looks very menacing and very alligator-like. That looks so cool. The wheels back there look really cool, done in red with some purple on top. And if you look back, it's actually compressed quite well, not really that big of a backpack. We do have a tail done in purple with lots of nice lines. It actually looks kind of skin-like, and it actually does angle it out a little bit. You can't move it at all, but I think that's fine. And there is a nice Decepticon symbol there, done in kind of purplish black. That looks pretty good. Moving to the front, the chest here, we have some nice bronze and red. Nice layer effect with that red there. Some more red on the stomach region, some more purple on the side as well, of course. For the arms, very simple, some nice purple for the shoulder and the hands, some black for the forearm, with lots of spikes. That looks really good. For the waist and leg region, we have some nice white there. That looks pretty good. For the legs, we have some nice purple at the top. We have a knee pad sort of design done in bronze, and of course the rest is done in purple with a nice kind of creepy alien foot design with some big talons or toenails. That looks pretty good. So yeah, again, this figure looks amazing. Sometimes I actually look at this figure, I'm like, this has to be a deluxe because it just looks so well detailed. And actually, when you pick it up, it actually has some heft to it. So honestly, it really gives you the illusion this is a deluxe size figure. And I actually really wish it was because it just looks so cool. So excellent details. Let's now get into articulation. For articulation for Legacy Iguanus, there is a ball joint at the head, so it can go all the way around. It's just very tight. There's a ball joint here and here, so there's an elbow bend, a swivel. Also, of course, it can go up and down, out and in. For the waist, there's actually a 360 rotation, which is pretty good. The legs can do the full splits. It can kick that far forward, that far back. There is a knee bend. There is a swivel. And also, of course, there's an ankle pivot. And of course, because the foot is on a ball joint, it can rotate all the way around to a very good degree. So overall, really good articulation for Legacy Iguanus. Actually, very surprisingly enough, there is a waist swivel and an ankle pivot. Usually you do not see that on a core class size figure, so that's really cool. So now let's move into the accessories. So for accessories for Legacy Iguanus, he comes with the one that's in his hand right now. Of course, I'll show you what these are for in just a second, but overall it's actually quite simple. There's some purple for that peg. There's some nice bronze, just kind of brown, some red there. That looks really good. I like how it matches the design of the chest. That's pretty cool in my opinion. I'm glad they didn't just paint it one solid color. That'd be pretty boring in my opinion, but that's really cool. So, of course, you can have him hold it. You could plug a blaster piece into there if you wanted to have more of a dynamic action pose, but there is actually another feature you can do. So a little backstory to this. So if you have Core Class Kingdom or Legacy Hot Rod, on the box art there was a big artwork of course, the figure and a really crazy sword, which did not match the sword we got, this one right here, with him. We were like, why are we shown this weird crazy sword? Well, we now know why. So if you get all these 3 pieces here, you can construct this one really cool, crazy kind of ultra sword. That's usually what I call it. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So just taking this out of his hands, just putting this down. What you're going to want to do is get this prong piece from Legacy Skywarp Wave 1. You can just plug this into there just like that. There we go. And then you can get the sword from Kingdom/Legacy Hot Rod, plug that in there like that, and then you've constructed the big kind of ultra or, supreme sword, whatever you want to call it. I think it looks pretty cool. So quickly just going over the details, we have some nice kind of blue for the blade there, some red as well. I like the crackled effect in the sword. That looks really cool. Some nice bronze there for the sides, some red, of course, some more red for there, and of course some black as the hilt and handle. overall, a pretty cool looking sword. Some people don't like it, some people do. It can get a little bit messy in some areas, but overall, just in putting it in a figure's hand, I think it looks really cool. Definitely in Iguanus' hand, he is ready for battle, and this looks really, really cool. Unfortunately, for this to be possible, you do have to get 3 core class figures: Iguanus, Skywarp, and Kingdom Hot Rod, or Legacy Hot Rod. I think that's pretty cool. Just be aware, again, you do have to buy 3 core class figures, which isn't that bad because they're all about $10 or $9. But also, it is unfortunate because to construct this, they did have to sacrifice the null rays for Legacy Skywarp, which is kind of a bummer in my opinion, but still, a pretty cool sword has been produced. I think it looks really cool. Most of the time, probably, I won't have these together. Most likely, they will be with their original owners, like the sword will be with Hot Rod, of course, and Legacy Iguanus' accessory will be with him. But yeah, a pretty cool looking sword. Again, you could put this with any core class figure you wanted to, and maybe, just maybe it could fit into some deluxe size figures, who knows. But yeah, very, very cool. So now let's move into some comparisons. Starting off with some core class comparisons, here we have Hot Rod, Iguanus, and Skywarp. So Hot Rod will be repacked in Legacy, so I sometimes consider him as a Legacy or Kingdom figure. That's why I sometimes do that. But of course, these are the 3 figures that have their accessories form the one really cool Ultra Sword. I think these 3 figures here are pretty cool. I like Hot Rod's sword just alone, of course, not connected. And I think Iguanus' gun here looks pretty cool. Skywarp, not so much. His weird kind of prong weapon, I really do not know what it's supposed to be. I guess it could be sort of like a taser or an electrocuting thing. I do not know, but I really wish he'd come with his null rays, of course. I'll do that review later. I just want to put it out now. I think probably 2 out of the 3 accessories that form the sword work. Skywarp's just alone just really doesn't work for me. I think probably doesn't work for most people. But, of course, Skywarp as a figure, I think he's pretty good. But probably of the 3 Iguanus, he just has to beat them all. He's just such a really cool, amazing looking figure. Let's move into some more Moving on to some more comparisons. Here we have Kingdom Wave 2 Megatron, Legacy Wave 1 Iguanus, and Kingdom Wave 1 Optimus. And these 3 figures here look pretty cool next to each other, but just showing in comparison, you can see how much detail they've put into just one $10 figure in comparison with Optimus and Megatron. Still, these figures are really cool, but they're actually pretty plain in some areas. Of course, the legs and the arms are pretty simple, and even the head sculpt, but just so much kind of texturing, so much spikes and detail go into this one $10 figure, and it's actually amazing and really cool. But again, these 3 figures here are really cool, and I highly recommend them. Let's move on to some more core class comparisons. Another core class comparison with Dracodon and Fossilizer Vertebrake, looking very, very cool, and as you can see just in comparison, these are very skinny and kind of scrawny characters. You can see how big and bulky he is, and it just looks so cool next to each other, so very, very nice. Let's move on to some more comparisons. Another comparison with Kingdom Starscream, Legacy Iguanus, and Kingdom Rattrap, all looking very cool next to each other. Let me know between all the core class figures which one is your favorite in the comment section down below. Moving on to one more comparison with Kingdom Soundwave. The final comparison here, we have Transformers Kingdom Core Class Soundwave and Transformers Legacy Wave 1 Iguanus, 2 of my favorite core class figures. Let me know in the comment section below what is your favorite 2 core class figures if you can't pick one. Let's now move on to transformation. So now let's get into transformation. We're going to start on the back. So what you can do is get this panel here, bring this out. As you can see, there is some slots there and there's some tabs there. So just tab that into place. You can then just collapse this over here, like that, and there we go. Then what you can do is get the waist rotated around just like this. I really like how the tail becomes like the seat of the motorcycle. That's actually pretty cool in my opinion. So then what you can do is go back here, bring this wheel out just like this, and then you can get the arm, and there is a peg here and a port in the hands. So you can just rotate this, bring this in, and this will just peg into place just like that. And there we go. Of course, do the same thing with the other arm. Bring this in, peg it in like that, and there is the front of the motorcycle pretty much fully complete. And then before we use anything with this wheel, you can get the legs, rotate them around. You can get the foot, rotate it around. Using that ankle pivot, you can do just like that. Of course, do the same thing with the other leg. Rotate it around, using the foot, rotate around, and then use the pivot just like that. And I typically go one leg at a time, so just get the wheel all ready. And of course, it's just like the front. There is a peg right there, and a port right there, and there is also a tab right there, and a slot right there, just like that. Just tabbing this into place just like this. you can then plug the wheel in, and of course we can do the other half. So there is a tab and a slot, and of course there is a port and a peg. So just tab that into place like that, and then of course align everything up right, and there is the motorcycle fully complete. So overall, as you can see, very simple transformation. Unfortunately, there is really no stand for the motorcycle, so you kind of just gotta really balance it, or you can just kind of give up and rest it like that. So now let's take a look at the details of the motorcycle. So here we have Transformers Legacy Core Class Iguanus in his immersive mode. He looks pretty cool. Let's take a look at the details. So we have the accessory right on top. It's just plugged in there. Some nice bronze, of course, and some reds. A little bit of purple. Some nice white there with the Decepticon symbol. Some red. Some more purple. Some nice black on the sides. Of course, you can make out some robot mode cable like the arm there, but overall not too noticeable, but still looks pretty good. Nice red for the wheels, which do look pretty cool. Some more panel lining, some purple. I like the nice bronze there, the nice purple for the seat. I do like how it kind of angles up, that's pretty cool. Some more purple on the sides, some more bronze back there. Again, the red for the wheels looks pretty good. It actually rolls pretty well. Overall, a really good looking motorcycle. Of course, not too complex of a design. Overall, there are some holes and gaps and some kibble, but it is only a $10 figure, so you really cannot complain very much. I would say the one thing I wish was changed is I really wish there was a stand, because it's actually very hard to just put this down and it just balance immediately, you know, because it's very hard to just balance something on two wheels. Actually, I'm surprised it stayed. But I recently did get Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class RC, and she does have a stand, of course. That is a more expensive figure. It's about $22, maybe $25, so that's not that surprising. It's bigger as a stand, but honestly, I think really this should have come with a stand. Yes, it is only a $10 figure, but it's actually very hard just to balance it off the spot. I was very lucky to be able to do that. But let's get into one quick comparison, actually a motorcycles comparison. So here we have Iguanus with RC, and as you can see, she does have a stand, and yes, it is a little bit bigger, but height-wise, actually, it's very similar, but yes, design-wise, it's bigger, it's more complex of a transformation, and as well, it is more expensive, and it comes with more accessories, which I will review this very, very soon over on the channel, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But two really cool-looking motorcycles. Of course, she is from the Transformers Prime universe, and he is from the G1 universe. But two pretty cool-looking figures. Definitely suggest both of them. So very, very nice. So overall, a really cool looking motorcycle. I would just really like a stand because it's just not that practical to not have one. Let's now move into the final thoughts. Let's get into the final thoughts, starting with the robot mode. I think the robot mode is just perfect. The articulation is actually really surprising. There's an ankle pivot, there's a waist rotation. Of course, most of it is ball joints like the arms, the head, the shoulders. It's very typical for a core class figure, but still a really nice 360 waist rotation. That's actually really cool. The accessory, I think it really works on its own. Like with Skywarp, his accessory really does not make any sense. I actually quite like the merging gimmick, where if you get Skywarp, Iguanus, and Hot Rod, you can merge all those accessories and form one really cool sword. From certain angles, it does look a little bit hodgepodge and ugly, but up close, it actually looks pretty cool. If you did a stop motion, I think that would work pretty well. I love all the design of the robot mode, the head sculpt. I love how the accessory actually matches the chest detail. That's actually really cool. And speaking of the chest, I love how there's tons of layering. I like all the armor detailing on the chest, the knees there. It just looks so cool. I like how there's really virtually no backpack, just the wheels, and I think that actually looks pretty cool. I do like the sudden small little tail, and of course there is no articulation, but I think it still works. The feet are very alligator-like, very sharp toenails, sort of. Looks really cool. Transformation, of course, is very simple. I think it's about 15 steps. You'll get it right off the bat without even looking at the instructions. It was very simple to do and very fun to do as well. Vice versa, of course, back and forth. Motorcycle mode, yeah, it's pretty good. I just really have one main complaint, is there is no stand to prop up the motorcycle, which is very kind of a big complaint because it's not very practical to have to stand it up on your own every time you want to put it on a shelf. Because I actually recently did do a stop motion for this figure, and it was a huge pain to have to balance this every time I wanted to move it, of course, for a new picture. So that was kind of pain on that part. If you don't do stop motions, and if maybe you never transform them, then you're fine. But if you want to store it in the motorcycle mode, that might be kind of a pain for you to do every single time. I did actually make a comparison with the RC version, because the Legacy RC, she of course transforms into a motorcycle, and she does have a stand. I think they could have done this, because I really do not think that would add much expense sense to this figure being built. But that's really the only complaint of this figure. It's definitely my favorite Legacy core class figure, or just in general core class figure ever. Of course, there could be one that tops this, but I highly doubt it because this figure is just amazing. The other core class figures are good, but I love the design. Just comparing it with other core class figures, you could tell how much of a difference it was. There's so much detail in his face, his chest. It looks so cool. The accessory works. Just all out a great figure. If you see this, I highly suggest you get it. Of course, I did pay a little bit overpriced for this because I did get it a little bit early, but honestly, I think it's worth it. So, really good figure. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next time.